Hi guys, I've got something a little bit different for you today. Ever since I saw these alphas from the July scrapbook kit from Citrus Twist, I knew I wanted to use them for a really large title in my traveler's notebook, but that's going to make a really bulky page. So instead, I made myself a couple of covers for a traveler's notebook sized mini album. Now, there are lots of these books floating around at the moment, but I decided just to make one myself. It was super easy. I just trimmed out some chipboard and covered them in some glitter paper and called it done. A couple of rings and I'm ready to go. So this means that I can make a slightly bulkier page, and as you saw, the only page I've done in there so far is a full page shaker pocket, because if that's going to be the first page, of course it is. Now, I had this photo of my sister and I when she was down visiting, and we made ourselves some hats, matching hats, because, you know, we had to. And so I want to make a page with that photo. So I'm just going to use this beautiful stripe from Pink Fresh and just a piece of plain white card on the other side, because that's going to be the base for my title. And as you can see, those alphas are colourful enough as they are. So I'm just trimming out a couple of pieces here. So they're just going to be loose papers. So I have trimmed them to fit my album, which happens to be 4 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. So now I have my two base pages and I can go ahead getting this layout started. My photo is going to go on the right hand side with the beautiful stripe, and then I'm going to add my alphas onto this side. Now I'm going to start by just roughly placing them, and I did do myself a little sketch to work out what I wanted to say as a title, and then I did just check that I had enough of each letter to actually create that title, because I didn't want to get started and then realize I had run out of E's, which is usually what happens, isn't it? So I've added the first letter for each word down the left hand side, because I want to, this is unusual for me, I know, plan it out to make sure that I'm going to get my spacing right for this title. Once I've got all my first letters in, then I can just go about adding the rest of the alphas for my title, and I'm just swapping out letters here and there as I go, just to make sure I've got a nice balance of colour, because these alphas are all different coloured. I wanted to make sure that I balanced out the really light ones with the really dark ones. Some of those letters don't have cutouts, so it does make them feel visually heavier, so I'm just swapping them around so that no two colours are next to each other. And you'll see I just swapped out that O there because it was that darker blue colour, and it did feel very heavy being right in the middle of the page. And then once they're all rough enough, I can pop them down properly, although I will say those alphas did not stick very well to the card, and I was unsure what I was going to do to them. You'll see my solution in just a second, but I did think I was going to have to pull them all off and add some liquid adhesive, because they were very tediously stuck on there. And because they're not going in a pocket or anything like that in this little mini album, it does need to be stuck down well. I don't want little alphas falling out all over the page. I just backed my photo with a couple of scraps that I had from another page that I had done with my kit, and I didn't want to go too crazy with the layers, but I did want to add just something a little bit more. So I'm going to stick the whole piece onto some vellum, and I am using a lot of adhesive because, again, there's nothing protecting this page. It's just going to be loose in the album, so I want to make sure everything is super well stuck down. Now this is when I decided I wanted to add some stitching, so I was going to stitch around the edge of my layered photo piece, and I decided at the same time, well, I'm going to stitch those letters down to make sure they are well stuck. Now that's a great solution. I didn't have to glue anything down at all. I will say they are a little bit difficult to put through the sewing machine. I ended up just using the dial by hand and going really slowly through each line. That ended up working the best for my machine. When I tried to put it on automatic, it just sort of tended to jam a little bit. Eventually I got them all stitched down, and that means they're not going to fly away, and I'm really happy with the extra texture that stitching adds. I roughed up a few of the papers on the right hand side on that wee cluster there, because I can add as much texture as I want in this mini album. I don't have to worry about keeping the pages flat. And now I'm going to add 3 of these epoxy badges. They're not the exact same colours as the alphas, but I'm sort of trying to tie the 2 pages in colour-wise. So I'm adding a yellow one onto the left-hand side to tie in that sort of yellow that's in the stripe. And I also added a blue and a peachy coloured one. Now the blue isn't quite the same colour blue that's in the alphas. The alphas are slightly more tealy blue. So at the moment I'm just trying to play around with these puffy hearts to try and balance out the 2 pages and make them a little bit more even. So I added a really dark green one to the bottom, which sort of ties in the alphas, and a blue one on the left to tie in the right hand page, and I call it done. I'm not adding any journaling to this page, I'm just letting the title speak for itself. And I couldn't be more pleased with the way it turned out. It's been such a long time since I've made any sort of mini book. I've been mostly sticking with traveler's notebooks and pocket pages, but let me know down below what's your favourite way to document, because this may well be a new favourite for me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, it means a lot to me, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen, otherwise I'll see you next time. Bye!